Yes, Mamta had stolen the thunder because, as you say, she sat on a dharna. She's seen to be a fighter. In the urban centers or Calcutta, it may be a different story, but in the rural areas, she's still seen as a fighter. And she's also playing on nationalism, a sub Bengali culture and religious practices being different from others. In other words, others means BJP brass equal to Gujarat don't understand Bengal. I think what it lacks is, as you yourself pointed out, is a Bengal chera to lead the party in the state. Prime Minister Modi has an appeal.
Bengal assembly polls are just weeks away, and the political turmoil is heating up on multiple fronts. From the SIR issue to tribal outreach, from anti-incumbency sentiments to alleged threat to democracy. To help us understand the political landscape better, we are joined by senior journalist and political commentator Neerja Chowdhury. Before we start, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for speaking with us. So, amid the political tussle between the central and the state government on SIR issue that's happening, so the SIR row seems to be dominating the political conversation in West Bengal, just ahead of the polls. So, how do you think the narrative for both TMC and BJP going to play out in forming opinion among the voters?
SIR has become a very major contentious issue, and Mamata Banerjee is fighting back. It is her fight back taking on the election commission. Now there is the possibility of a move to impeach the central election commissioner. And the opposition parties seem to be backing her. As parliament is reopened, we'll see what the coming hours will bring. But the optics of the whole thing, that she's fighting tooth and nail on this, and fearing that it is her voters whose names have been deleted. It is the minority voters who would have voted for her whose names have been deleted. Now, this is elections are all about perception. It has nothing to do with reality or empirical evidence, so to speak. And so Mamata Banerjee, having come to power in 2011, defeated the then entrenched left front government, which has been in the saddle for 34 long, long years. Also now faces, 15 years of anti-incumbency. That's a fact of life also. But she's a vigorous fighter, as we've seen. And it depends on who you talk to in Bengal. They will tell you that this time she is going to, those who are opposed to her will tell you, this time is facing difficulties, she's on the back foot. But if you talk to people who are not opposed to her, they will say she's coming back with 200 plus seats. So I think we will wait for the day. But West Bengal, with its concentration and focus on SIR, this time as I think the main mudda and issue um, is going to be the mother of all elections that are going to be held this year.
Okay, so ma'am, recently Mamata Banerjee held a dharna alleging mass voter deletion by the Election Commission. So the final voter list shows that 6.44 crore voters are there, with over 63 lakh names being removed so far. So how do you think Mamata's sit and protest against the EC going to impact the poll campaign? Has she been able to strike the first blow to BJP even before rivals could dictate the campaign pitch?
I think, yes, it is the manner in which she's taking on the BJP, number one, taking on the election commission, number two, managed to cast a doubt on the credibility of the election commission. And if in parliament they move against this CEC, if they try and bring an impeachment motion, of course it will get defeated. But that you do dent an image. An election commission over the years, over the decades, has been looked upon as whoever sits in that chair. He's been viewed as somebody who conducts a free and fair elections. But this time around, doubts have been cast on the credibility of the election commission, which is not a very happy situation to be in. And I think somewhere the CEC and the election commission could take an initiative to call people from all parties and try and sort things out before these state elections are held. But that I don't see it happening. Such is the bitterness and contention that is crept in between the ruling party and the opposition, and the election commission becoming in the firing line. So, but to answer your question briefly, yes, Mamta had stolen the thunder because, as you say, she sat on a dharna. She seemed to be a fighter. In the urban centers or Calcutta, it may be a different story, but in the rural areas, she's still seen as a fighter. And she's also playing on a nationalism, a sub-Bengali culture and religious practices being different from others. In other words, others means BJP brass equal to Gujarat don't understand Bengal. So that is something she played on even last time. So underneath all this are these sub themes that are going to play out when elections get announced, which is expected very soon.
So, if we talk about the larger context, the SIR didn't seem to have much effect on the Bihar Assembly polls that recently happened. So, what are the chances of electoral revision to have significant impact on the Bengal polls?
I think, it depends on how close the contest is.
Hmm.
If the contest is close, and in Bihar also, Nitish Kumar was in the saddle for 2 decades and more. So anti-incumbency should have been there for him, but as it turned out, it was an election fought in his name, won in his name. And when people realized that he is not keeping good health, it was almost a thank you election for all that you've done for Bihar, Mr. Nitish Kumar, a kind of a tribute. So you do, and a sympathy kind of election. And of course, women were a very big factor in plumping for the NDA side. So also with Mamta, she, as I said, has been in power for 15 years. That's a long, long time. And there is an ascendant BJP in Bengal, a very determined BJP for whom West Bengal crown is a very important thing. It's a gateway to the east. And if they manage to get the better of Mamata Banerjee, they will set the tone and tenor for 2027 very important elections, which are due in Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Punjab, all three states critical for the BJP, and also set the tone and tenor for 2029. If they get the better of Mamata in West Bengal, of all the elections being held this year, that
Mhm.
is the most important elections as far as the BJP is concerned.
So, how do controversies involving constitutional officers, such as the recent President's Protocol Rao that happened, and influencing the political messaging, will this backfire on TMC?
It is very unfortunate that the constitutional positions are coming into the firing line, so to speak. Whether it's the president or the CEC, the political parties can slug it out, and they always do. They use all manner of words, and it gets worse and worse as far as my generation is concerned, who feel avoid it, why use this kind of language. But I suppose it's a different generation in the saddle today. Social media is there, new media is there, and there is greater irreverence
Hmm.
and greater contention and greater polarization and much bitterness between the ruling side and the opposition. Those are given. But the the constitutional niceties, the constitutional positions, I think you have to think many, many, many times before you drag them in. And are there better ways? Of course, they also have to be mindful of not just not being not partisan, but coming across as being non-partisan. That is also very, very important. Caesar's wife, as they used to say, has to be above suspicion.
So, after the recent President's Protocol controversy, is also seen through the prism that BJP is aggressively outreaching to secure tribal votes. How big a factor is it in Bengal polls? Can securing tribal vote make enough swing for the BJP to dent TMC's bastion?
I think the BJP has certainly very determinedly, in a focused way, targeting the tribal vote. There's no doubt about that. And they would hope that they will make a dent. That they're doing also in Assam, by the way.
Yeah.
While Hemanta Biswa Sarma is fighting to retain the state and may well do so, most people think he will do so. But the way he is reaching out to areas where the tribal councils exist, fine tuning, constituency by constituency, the micromanagement. So, tribals, yes, to answer your question briefly, tribals are very much on the BJP's radar. And they have worked, the RSS has worked amongst them in many parts of the country. And
So
they
we have
have been
also seen.
focusing on the tribal vote for some time now.
So TMC has gone big with its populist welfare schemes targeting women and unemployed. So in recent elections, such move have benefited parties heavily. Is this the new trend, and will this be enough for Mamta to beat anti-incumbency for the third time?
I think it could well be because Mamta is popular amongst women. Remember, women are an emerging constituency all over the country. They are an emerging vote bank. And
Yes.
every party is wooing them. This happened in Madhya Pradesh where the BJP won the Ladli Behan Yojana. Then in Maharashtra, the Ladki Behan Yojana. Then in Bihar, women were a very important constituency of Nitish Kumar, who swung the election in his favor. And Mamta has over the years been wooing the women voters and holding out different social welfare schemes for them, as well as for the poorer sections. And that adds to her appeal in the rural areas. So yes, women are a very important vote bank, and Mamta will play that to the hilt in this 2026 elections, which are very important for her.
So women face plays a major role, I feel. BJP has largely focused on TMC's poor governance, corruption, and safety of women to design its poll narrative so far. The top leadership, including PM Modi, has addressed multiple rallies targeting Mamta government for failing to deliver. So comparing the last two elections, do you think BJP has changed its tactics or still lacking the punch it needs to swing the mood of the state?
I think what it lacks is, as you yourself pointed out, is a Bengal chera to lead the party in the state. Prime Minister Modi has an appeal, and in a national election, it does work. Though last time in 2024, Mamata Banerjee managed to get 29 out of 42 seats, even in the general elections. But Mr. Modi does have an appeal, but they lack this Bengali face, that people say, yes, we identify with that. That's the alternative. That's a state alternative. That is it's a minus point for the BJP, and they have not been able to clearly zero in on such a face for West Bengal.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us a broader perspective on the political landscape ahead of the upcoming assembly polls. While the future of the state lies in the hands of its voter, we will continue our election coverage. Stay tuned to the Times of India for all the updates.